No, he knows that it's getting recorded, so he's being very careful.
Being recorded. So actually, see, just not to come up. Yeah.
Ulta, it's backside.
Huh?
Backside.
Okay. So this is what is happening. So now the stress response has not evolved with society. So what is happening is this guy's stress response thinks that this is what is happening. Alright? And so therefore what he's doing is he's activating the same response that the deer is having. So let's go to the next slide. So what is he doing? He's mobilizing glucose. For what? For being in a traffic jam. And then he's increasing his heart rate. Oh my god, I'm going to get fired. Heart rate, blood pressure goes up. Stomach doesn't digest properly. Blood is not going into the gut properly. So, when so irritable bowel syndromes, decreased growth, sperm counts start dropping, decreased reproduction, digestion doesn't work well, diarrhea, clotting system gets activated, and increased non-specific inflammatory response, which we commonly refer to as the Kai-Kal-Korachel syndrome, right? And then decreased antibody-mediated response. And sleep. We all know people are stressed, sleep suffers. So this is what is happening to us. So acute stress is helpful, life-saving in the short term. Chronic stress is of no physiological benefit. Human beings are activating the chronic stress response for no reason and are suffering. The stress response has not adapted itself to the change in the circumstances that have happened in society. It is not like we are being chased by lions every day, but the same response we are activating for a traffic jam. So, what happens with an angry heart? Now, here we come to a certain amount of studies that are proved. Sympathetic activity increases. People who are angry have been known to have a higher rate of heart attacks. Not only a higher rate, they also have a higher recurrence of heart attacks after the first heart attack. And the next one is they have a higher mortality after heart attacks. This is proven. This has been proven in studies, especially in women. What are the brain changes due to stress? We call it as neuroplasticity because when we were in medical school, we were told that the brain, once the brain is formed, and that's it. But now we know that it's not true. We have a little bit of growth in the brain also. There's atrophy of the hippocampus, atrophy of medial prefrontal cortex, and initial hypertrophy and subsequent atrophy of amygdala. The main thing is memory, learning, cognition, they're all affected. Emotional connection to physical action, that is also affected, and we don't work properly. So the next step is how does stress affect immunity? Up until 1991, this was not a proven fact. In 1991, a landmark paper got published in New England Journal of Medicine, where they said they took some medical students and they were trying to check whether they were getting any common cold. And they found that just before the exam, there was a spike in common cold in the medical students. Of course, as you all know, if it were Lata and Bala studying for exam, they were not probably stressed. You know.
No, it's
I'll leave it alone. But people like me had a certain amount of stress. But so it depends on the kind of person. So these studies you have to take with a pinch of salt. They may or may not be perfect, but at the same time, they did prove that there was a certain higher association of common cold infections with medical students who were stressed. And that was good enough to be published in New England Journal of Medicine. So a field called psychoneuroimmunology came into being. What is psychoneuroimmunology? Essentially, how the thought affects the brain and brain affects the immunity. And I did not go in too much detail about the two hormone systems that are activated in stress. We all know that. The first is the sympathetic axis, and the other one is the hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal axis. And How many of us were taught that the pituitary gland is the master conductor, orchestra, whatever it is? All of us were taught, right? And they used to say the pituitary gland got its activation from hypothalamus. Then how come the pituitary gland is the orchestrator? The brain is the master conductor. The hypothalamus is the controller. Pituitary acts on the